Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on the cross-border pipeline dialogue, Building with BC. But first, wildfires and demands for a new federal approach.
If it avoids one disaster, one Jasper, one Lytton, one Fort McMurray, and unfortunately there's going to be more in the future unless we change the way we do business.
Calls are building for a federal agency that would ensure quicker coordination of emergency resources right across the country. This as wildfires continue to burn out of control across the 4 western provinces, including Alberta, forcing thousands to flee their communities. And joining us now, Todd Loewen, Alberta's Minister of Forestry and Parks. Minister Loewen, good to see you, sir. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you too.
All right, well, let's start on wildfire dynamics right here in our province. Evacuation orders have been expanded in the county of Grand Prairie as well now as the MD of Greenview. What's that say about conditions up in your corner of the province?
You know, it's definitely dry, and we've had quite a bit of lightning that came through earlier that's created a bunch of fires. And with high winds that we've been having, it's just, I guess it's a perfect scenario for these forest fires to ignite and to grow. And that's the problem. You know, there's a lot of fire in the landscape right now, and with the high winds we've been having, they've been growing exponentially.
Well, and now whether it's the Northwest or anywhere else, how would you frame the start of wildfire season in our province and the degree to which maybe it's testing Alberta's ability to respond?
Yeah, you know, the first 3 weeks of May, you know, wasn't that bad, actually. We had a high number of fires, but we were able to get on them quick, and the weather conditions allow us to control those fires pretty quickly. But this, the last week of May and into June here has been, like I say, the lightnings came through, and that's definitely has us at a capacity as far as our firefighting ability. And so we've been bringing in resources from other provinces and from other states, and right soon here we'll be bringing in people from outside the country.
Well, I heard today as well, maybe even Australia. So some American crews, Australians as well?
Yeah, maybe even Costa Rica, maybe Mexico. We'll see what you know, who has firefighters to spare. We're working through CIFC, the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center, and they arranged a lot of our people to come in and help from around the world and across the country.
Other provinces, including Ontario, now have requested assistance from the federal government. Where's Alberta in that queue? Is it in the queue?
You know, the only help we've ever had from the feds really has been when we use the military, and of course they do provide some funding along the way too. You know, it'd be nice to see more help from the feds. I know we send a lot of money to Ottawa that they distribute. It'd be nice to have a lot of that coming back to Alberta and help with our firefighting situation.
What degree of communication do you have with the Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience, newly elected Alberta MP Eleanor Olszewski, and how do those communications compare with dynamics that played out in the wake of that destructive fire in Jasper last year?
Yeah, so I haven't communicated directly, but that communication might be going on through our emergency services minister, Minister Ellis. But again, I reach out to, you know, I've reached out to Manitoba, the minister there, talking about the situation they have there. Earlier in the season, we were actually providing help to Manitoba and to Ontario because we were a little on the slower side early in May, like I said. But now we need our resources back, and so they've all moved back home now. And again, now we're asking for help from across the country and around the world.
Now, we set up the conversation on expanding calls for a national fire service. The Canadian Association of Fire Chiefs says we're the only G7 country without a national fire administration. Where does Alberta's government stand on those calls?
You know, so far, you know, we haven't come up with anything particular that we want to focus on when it comes to that strategy. We know that, you know, we have a good organization here. Alberta Wildfire does great work. We have good personnel here. And, you know, when it comes to resources, I think that's where we could use some help from the feds. Again, we transfer a lot of money to Ottawa, and Ottawa doesn't transfer that much back. And if they could transfer some of that back to help us with our fighting wildfire, that'd be appreciated.
Fighting wildfires, that is a provincial responsibility. Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Other than the national parks, yeah.
Right. Okay. So how different of an approach do you see the federal government needing to take to this whole conversation? What or could that involvement look like to come from the feds?
Well, I think realistically on our end, as it stands right now, and of course we'll be in further conversations as time goes forward. But as it is right now, we just could use the resources, the financial resources, to be able to bring in the help that we need. The federal government right now, they're not set up to fight fire at all right now, other than of course the Parks Canada. They have their own firefighting abilities and crews and things like that. But the federal government doesn't have that. The provinces have that right now. If the feds wanted to get in, at this point, I would see that, if they were to help pay for some of the expenses that we have, that would be a big help. And again, we have the CIFC, the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center there that we work with. That's a great organization that really does help provide, link us up to resources.
Okay, and maybe, Minister, if we could circle back real quick. We're only approaching mid-June, many weeks left. How concerned are you about where this wildfire season is headed?
Always concerned. You never know what the weather's going to bring and what's going to happen. The majority of our issues right now were started by a band of dry lightning that moved through the province, and followed by 30-degree temperatures and high winds, and that's caused a lot of the problems that we're having right now. If we can avoid situations like that throughout the rest of summer, we might not be in too bad a shape. But we already have enough hectares on fire right now that we do have a long summer ahead of us, working on getting those fires extinguished.
All right. We'll have to leave it there. Appreciate your time this evening, Minister Loewen. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you.
Todd Loewen, Alberta's Minister of Forestry and Parks.